This is November 6, 2024, the day after the election of President Trump, re-election for President Trump. I'm very happy. I want him to read my book. I sent him a copy of my book. It's called Restoring the Great Love Peace, How to Tell the Whole Truth. And I sent it by Amazon. It got there 2 days ago to Mar-a-Lago. I don't know when, if he'll have a chance to read it, but I sent the message with it that I'm a year older than him. I worked on this book for a year, and I hope you'll read it because it will offer him the mechanism to help create a lasting world peace. And we're going to talk about it a little bit today with my editor, who's going to call me for a podcast at 10 o'clock. But the basic idea is the great love peace is an inviolably sovereign natural law. The law of nature, what they call, the Hopi interpreter Thomas Binyaka called the law of nature. The Iroquois people call it the great love peace. And they're the most famous precedent because about 1,000 years ago, the peacemaker came and brought the great love peace, and with it, he taught it, and that stopped the warfare for between 5 warring nations who had been at war for centuries, and he stopped the war with the great love peace teaching, and that went on to form the Iroquois Confederacy, which the United States government patterned our system of government after it, but they ignored the great love peace. They didn't understand it as an inviolably sovereign natural law. That's my area of interest because I'm now in Isla Vista. I moved here in 1974 to do a PhD program in chemical physics to work on the unified field theory equations. That's Einstein's terminology for a simple set of equations to describe all of physical reality, all events in nature, no matter when or where, with 100% certainty. So I started in August, moved here August 74 to apply, and that turned me down because I wrote the first 3 equations and it's turned it in. I think they thought I was nuts, but I went on after some spiritual experiences 2 years later. On April 28, 1977, I got the inspiration for the 4th equation, the Euclidean equation, what I call the oneness equation, to complete this unified field theory. So I went on because I became interested in the free energy technologies, and was in 1976 in the Hopi land. I made some predictions about them, 4 classifications of the free energy technologies. And I met Bruce De Palma in 1979 in May, the pioneer in Santa Barbara of the End Machine free energy generator, and I championed his work, and I recognized we couldn't have these free energy technologies until we had world peace, because the government was opposed to them. Now there's a movie out that describes it by Stephen Greer called The Lost Century, and how to reclaim it to end the secrecy of 100 years since the Nikola Tesla about these technologies. But so I worked to organize the American peace movement for 50 years, since 1973. And over the years, I became aware that this natural law, what the Hopi call the law of nature, is also the same concept as the Torah that Einstein believed in, the law even God has to follow in his decisions in the world. And since I embraced Islam under the tutelage of James Waldron in 1968 at my age 18, at my age 18, I think it was 63, at the Los Angeles Mosque, and he taught me about Islam. And the main concept in Islam is, if anything happens, whatever happens, good or bad, it happens only in accord with the will of God. So I think the concept of the will of God is the same concept as the Torah, the law by which God operates. And over the years, I became associated with Fuji Guruji, Nichidatsu Fujii, Mahatma Gandhi's teacher, who he called Fuji Guruji, practicing the Buddhist chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo and beating the drum. And that was the inspiration that gave me the oneness equation in April of 77, because I realized La ilaha illallah, the 7-syllable prayer for Islam, is the same syllables as Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. And I got the inspiration beyond time and space, beyond religion. They mean absolutely identically equal. That's what I got the absolute identity function idea from. And so in Buddhism, this law is called the true Dharma. Like Saint Nichiren taught about the true Dharma. He said, if you don't follow, to the government, he said in Japan, if you don't follow this natural law, this true Dharma, bad things will happen, including civil unrest, a foreign invasion, a big earthquake, and they try to chop off his head for being seditious, but the executioner's sword was broken by lightning and they couldn't kill him, so they sent him away in exile until the predictions came true. And there was a big earthquake. There was a foreign invasion by the Mongols. The big typhoon came out and wiped out the Mongol fleet. So this is an example, like Thomas Binyaka said, the Hopi interpreter at the United Nations, when we got the door open for him to speak. Same message. If you United Nations are screwing up, they're making laws and trying to enforce them by violence, and all kinds of problems are going to come about if you don't straighten out and follow this great law of peace follow this law of nature, this inviolably sovereign natural law always works like gravity, and if you try to contradict it, you hit your head. So since then, we have wars, more wars, civil unrest, and as he spoke at the United Nations on December 10th, 1992, the big storm brewed in New York, huge rainstorm, historic rainstorm, and it shorted out electricity in the United Nations. And the next day, when they had Thomas brought the people together in a circle to pray before they went home, the lights went out because the basement was shorted, and they kept the ceremony with the lighters, big lighters going, saying, "We're not afraid of the dark." By the time they finished the ceremony, the rain stopped and the lights came on. Exactly the punctuation of nature, because the message is the mind of man so connected to the nature. That's the result. Even the natural disasters are connected to the mind of man. So I'm going to cut it short. This is a practice. I'm not a good speaker anymore. Maybe I never was, but my voice is a little bit weird now. So I'm going to end this, but I'll really play it back as a practice for my podcast with my editor of my book, The Pocketbook Magic, Nicola Washburn. It's not